So thanks for joining us. This is a session about building our own online signature system. Now, one of the reasons why this is really relevant at the time is that we've got currently a lot of people that are out there looking to further their business, get them online. We've got a lot of people that are impacted by loss of income. And I guess in some sense, the easy thing is to say, I'm going to go online. But as we know, online is an incredibly crowded marketplace. And so therefore, there's got to be some structure in and around how we actually go online. So, but before we get started, a little bit about me. My name's Tony Curl, of course. I run a business called Think and Grow Business. I also operate as Coach Curl, and I have my own online academy called the Coach Curl Academy that has over 75 programs in it to help leaders and to help business. A little bit about my background. I spent 30 years in the world of retail leadership. I'm a John Maxwell certified leadership coach, and John is acknowledged as the #1 expert in leadership in the world. He's got over 12,000 in that particular team at the moment, so it continues to to grow. I'm also I'm also a coach certified in the Maraboli method, which is all about human behavior and observation around human behavior. I'm a business skills mentor, and during my career, during my corporate career, I had a number of highlights, but all of the highlights that I really treasure are the ones where my team went over and above, where my team excelled. So some of those leadership highlights, when my store at Rockley was flooded at that particular time, it was the greatest pride that I had in 2011 when we were flooded and we rebuilt the Bunnings at Rockley was the fact that when we reopened, 150 of my team all came back, which was really amazing because we ultimately had farmed them out to many, many stores around the Brisbane metro area. And while we were rebuilding and gutting and getting rid of all the soaked and sodden and putrid stock that was in there, when your store gets flooded, they're out there working and serving the customer in other stores. So the reality is that during that time, any one of them could have thought that the grass was greener and could have or potentially left. And it's with great pride that the strategy that we put in place to keep them connected and keep them engaged in our particular business worked, so that when we reopened or when we wanted them to come back into the store to help us fill the place again, they all came back. So it's interesting when you look back on a career and you think about your highlights, and yes, there's times you killed budget and there's times that you are, we were store of the year before that particular incident, and you get these accolades and you get these this level of recognition. But the reality is that whenever I think back to my achievements or the achievements of my team, it's always about the people. So it's about the development of the people. It's about how they manage to overcome adversity or to get through a particular challenge. So let's have a little bit of a chat first up about what are you wanting to get out of today. So I'm going to put a quick poll up on your screens. So what are you wanting to get out of the session today? Just so that I've got a little bit of an idea, so I can tailor some of this to your particular outcomes that you're wanting to get. Okay, so I want to understand target markets more. I want to how to stand out in the online marketplace, and some tools on where to get started. Absolutely. So I think that's really important. How are we going to stand out? It's one thing to create an amazing platform. It's another thing to actually get found and to get seen. So, and during the course of the session today, I'm certainly going to be talking about some of those things. So just waiting on a couple of others to come through. Okay, and another one's just popped through in respect to generating interest and once again getting found online. So, and I've got a real bug in my throat this morning, so I really do apologize about that. So strategies to generate interest and to be found online, and strategies to develop yourself as an expert. Well, let's see where we can get to with some of that stuff, shall we? That is a that's good to know. That's good stuff to know. So why do we talk about a signature program, and why am I talking about creating an online program? An online signature program is really a great way for you to leverage your expertise, to create another business stream, and to create an ongoing leverage for you to be considered or to be perceived or to be seen as an expert in your field. So just about every person I know has some level of expertise, some level of a skill set that they can teach and help others. You know, one of the biggest things that I always had when I was in the corporate world was the coaching and mentoring side, and being able to help others get better results through leveraging my experience, my expertise, and my skill set, but also in helping ask questions to help them get the right level of internal engagement. So what a signature program is all about is about leveraging your expertise. It's a method of solving a problem. It's it's a problem that people face. It's a method you've used in the past, potentially to teach others to solve the problem, but it should be a system or a program that you've used personally yourself. So what we see online is a lot of so-called experts wanting to teach something that they've never really done themselves. They've just learned the program and then gone out and teaching it. So where we create a signature program and where we get seen as that expert is that we've actually utilized the program to actually do something to generate some level of success. And the biggest thing in relation to our own expertise and our own skill set is the ability for us to put it into a systematic process that enables other people to be able to do that. So what we'll do today is walk through some of those 5 key areas in relation to this, and then I'll talk about, you know, potentially where this can go for you over the next couple of weeks. So first up, what is a signature system? It's a method for solving a problem that our audience faces. So for example, I ran the New York Marathon in 2018. Now, a year before that, I was not a runner, you know, and some people would look at me today and be quite confused that I call myself a runner, but I wasn't a runner. But over a course of 12 months, I put in strategies, I put in a process that enabled me to build my distance, work through some particular injuries, and ultimately run the New York Marathon. So, so if I wanted to, and if that was something that I felt I could teach to others, that would be an idea around what a signature program is. Something that I've used, something that I've developed, and something that I was ultimately successful, because we've got the medals downstairs to prove it, and also lots and lots of photos of us running the New York Marathon. Now, the system can be used to build income directly. It can be used to brand ourselves. It can increase our exposure. We can use it as a part of a marketing funnel, or we can break it up into different forms of content to create new and additional revenue streams. And the key thing here is that anyone can do it. You may be sitting on a skill set that you weren't even aware was something that would be that other people are looking for currently. You know, I spoke to someone on the Redlands Coast Business Show recently, and they created a blog with a readership of about a mailing list of 100,000 people. And they've been doing it for 11 years, but the blog is all about household tips. It's all about organization. It's all about frugal living. And to me, that's a real epitome of what a signature program can do for you. The reality is that some of the skills and expertise that we have, we may not necessarily treasure and pride, but the reality is that we've got something that other people struggle with. There's the potential there for us to be generating some income potential and helping others in relation to it. So the first thing that we want to do is to be able to identify and design the system. Now, the system, as I've said, is something that you've used in the past, and it's something that has worked for you. So it could be something like our blog lady, you know, how she grew her blog readership to have 100,000 people on her mailing list. It could be Tony teaching non-runners how to become a runner to run the New York Marathon. And we've just had Alexandra pop in, so welcome today, Alex. Good to see. Thank you for popping in and investing some time in. So it could be, you know, that non-runner to marathon runner scenario that I spoke about. You may have a short daily exercise routine that keeps you in shape and helps you maintain your weight headache-free. That's a problem for a lot of people. So if you've got a process that enables you to do that, keep your weight in a very short basic process of exercise, why not? A simple formula for managing household cleaning. Who hates cleaning the house? But if you've got a process, if you've got a system, that's something that you could parcel up. You know, studying languages, how you learnt Mandarin or how you learnt French in 3 weeks would be something that people would find absolutely valuable. One recently, the Brisbane Junior Chamber of Commerce had a wine tasting night virtually. And from all reports, it was an amazing success. So, and while we're in this crisis, the COVID crisis at the moment, potentially what you've got is the ability for them to be able to parcel up the success of that event, put in the steps and the process, and then teach other people how to do it. So you may have seen some of these systems. You may have seen systems out there offered by, you know, whether they're big name entrepreneurs or someone that you've hardly known. And some of them will go to the absolute extreme of, say, guaranteeing you, you know, 6-figure success within your income, within your business. But, and people get frightened around that scenario, around, you know, creating their own program, because there is such an extreme from the so-called perception of success saying, I'll teach you to make, you know, $1 million business or how to turn over your first $1 million. And you may be sitting there thinking, well, I just want to teach people how to organize an office so that it's productive. You know, there is value in that. There is value in that. And there is value in there will be people with that problem. How do I make and increase the productivity in my office? But because everyone ultimately has a system that they can teach, something that they've used, something that they've been successful in the past. Signature systems are often offered by entrepreneurs, trainers, coaches, consultants, small business owners. But in reality, anyone can ultimately turn their experience into a business or an income stream. And we start by looking at some areas of your business, of your life, or during your career where you've solved a problem, and that you've ultimately seen results. And often it's the case that we want to work backwards from that. So we've done this was the result. So what were the steps that I actually took? And away we go. And we should be able to identify those steps and then started to think about how can I teach some of this to other people. So let's do another poll, shall we, based around that. So just gently now, while you're thinking, think about something that you've learnt to do or something that became natural for you to do, and something that you've actually gotten results out of. It might be a process to build a website. It might be a process to solve a team conflict issue. It could be something about how to get my gardenias growing at a faster rate. So have a think about that. And once again, you're not limited or compulsorily going to be asked, you've got to stick with this, but this is a really good thing to think about. What is something that you've learned to do that you've gotten results from? Okay, so I'm seeing a couple of them starting to come through. There's one about weight loss over a period of time, which is good. People are always facing that problem and always looking for a way to solve that. Another one's about research and implementation of a CRM, for a digital marketing business. Because often it's hard to think of something quickly offhand. And if this is something that you're actually sort of sitting there at the moment thinking, oh, I wonder what it is. Some of the best ways that we can find out what it is by talking to people that are close to us, talking to people that you've helped, talking to people that you've coached or mentored. Ask them directly around, what were some of the areas that I've helped you in? Starting a non-for-profit, absolutely. Establishing inclusive culture, strategic planning, and Cindy's got a list, so that's great. I knew you would, Cindy. I knew you would. But one of the first steps that we want to move here is that we want to be able to identify the system and start to design it, because we do want to be able to put it into a system that other people will be able to use. Okay. So and it's always important, the key thing out of that slide. So I've walked through some of this already. Start by looking at some areas of your business where you've seen results, or in your life or in your career, or whatever it is that you're looking for. Talk to people if you're stuck on what it is that you think you can be doing. And it's really important to start with one, and to be able and to send a really clear message out to the marketplace with one. One of the hiccups that we had with the Coach Call Academy was that we opened with 60 programs, and that sounds awesome, and it is awesome, but the reality, to market 60 programs is really challenging. To be able to market what it was that people got from working through those or having access to those 60 programs was where we needed to focus. It would have been a lot simpler from a marketing experience to be able to go through, choose one area, and to make that one work before moving on to the next. So the action steps that I want you to think about, and one of the handouts that you'll get at the end will be okay. So I'm back on. So I must have had a slight flux in the internet just there. So the next steps from an action, what is something that you've learned and gotten results from? I threw the poll in there to help us, of course, and then ultimately write out the steps within that you use to create that. So that's that first stage of identifying and designing the actual system that you're going to go through and teach. Now, this next step is about defining what is absolutely unique about your system, because this is where your real value comes in. The true value of your system is that it's unique. Others have solved the problem that you're looking to solve many ways before, but no one's system is the same as yours, because you came up with it, and especially where you built that system from scratch yourself. It's a fantastic, unique way. What was the driver behind the system, is once again one of those unique things that we talk about. So some of the questions that we've got to ask ourselves is, do we know what makes your system different from any others? And discovering that uniqueness is a really important step. So have we looked at who else is out there in the market, and who else is out there trying to solve this problem with an online system, with an online program? So we can go search online, we can find similar systems, we can go check out what relevant keywords that they're utilizing in Google. If they're potentially selling an ebook or something on Amazon, going out and having a bit of a bo peep at what's doing that market research to define what is absolutely unique about your particular system. And we need to be paying close attention to the benefits that your product provides, but also the product that your competitors are providing. What are the benefits that they're providing? Because somewhere within their marketing system, they're going to be talking about those benefits. Feel free with the loss of weight or whatever that marketing message may be. They'll mention those benefits. And that's when we start looking at what is unique about my system, what are the benefits that we need to be talking about with our particular system. People buy, and one of the real key areas for us to stand out online is to be able to embrace our own uniqueness and how that system came to be. So if I was to, say, create a system on the story I'd shared before about my 150 team members coming back to Rocklea after the floods, there's a real story about what initially drove that. There was a flood and my store went 3 meters underwater. And that's a pretty extreme sort of an event that created a catalyst and many other little catalysts along the way. But for me to be talking about team engagement and connection and utilizing that as a unique storytelling aspect around what we learnt during that particular process creates a uniqueness around that team engagement concept. So what we need to do is to look at what's happening within our marketplace and see what our competitors are doing. So just another quick little poll. Do you know what other programs are out there and wanting to solve the problem that you're looking to solve, and wanting to look at the problem that you're looking to solve, and how would you describe them currently? Are they big pictures? Are they entrepreneurs trying to sell into a $1 million club? Are they home-based businesses? Are they so? Okay. And it's quite all right not to necessarily understand or to have settled on a key problem at this particular stage. That's perfectly fine. So, but it's part of the steps that once we've got an inkling of where we want to go, that we really start looking at who else is doing it, because we do want to be different. We do want to have that uniqueness. And one of the challenges that we find when we're marketing online is, a lot of people market in what we call the vanilla. We don't want to necessarily put ourselves out there, especially here in Australia, for example, because it is challenging for people in Australia to market in a way that really talks about features, benefits, and the absolute upside for our customers and clients. There doesn't seem to be many online culture programs. They're more leadership programs. There certainly isn't many inclusive culture programs, and that's a problem for me. So, yeah, people don't know they should be inclusive or what it means, and absolutely supportive. And one of the key things, Cindy, there would be to how do I differentiate this inclusive culture program? What's the uniqueness around that, and why should people be looking at that as opposed to a general, say, team engagement program through a particular leadership process? So absolutely, I would agree that there's probably a real gap in the market, but we've just got to make sure that as we're thinking about what that looks like, that we're understanding how do I market this and how do I get that buy-in from people. Because one of the things that, from a personal aspect, from what I've found, is that if we're not really clear around what it is that we're solving, we just get passed over. So, one of the things that I love is working with people and helping them with their mindset approach and creating a bit of a mindset shift. Now, that's a really hard thing to quantify, and it's also a really hard thing for people to understand that they actually want to do that. So there's probably 2 to 3% of the population that says, I really need to change my thinking. And then there's 97 or 98% of the population that probably hasn't even, for some of them, they may not even have registered. So we see a lot of mindset coaching, we see a lot of mindset mentoring, and in many cases, the marketplace is missing the mark on what it is that people are actually looking for. So there's a problem, and the problem is usually discovered with mindset when people get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And that's the process of marketing in and around the concept around mindset. So in terms of what we just spoke about in our own uniqueness, your action steps from this, please find some similar systems that solve the problem for yourself, and then look at the benefits each system offers and compare them with what you're doing to discover what your unique benefits are, because that's really important. If you're just going to be vanilla, if you're just going to offer what everyone else is offering, people in the marketplace already have a added advantage over that because they're there. They've got credibility and visibility. So it's about what is absolutely unique about my system, what's the story behind it, what generated it, and then be looking at what are my unique benefits. And it could be, if we're talking, say, something like weight loss, it's more than just how I lost 10 kg in 3 months. That's a program. And you can go out there and continue to do research, and there'll be thousands of programs out there in relation to I lost 10K in 3 months. Maybe less so would be I lost 10 kilograms in 3 months and then ran a marathon, or then did something else, or then went to the Olympics, or whatever the case may be. So it's about really trying to understand what is that uniqueness around what it is, where this program has been developed from. So step number 3, and it's a typical business thing. It's a typical business part of our process. Identify our target markets. Now, if you've got a good system that gets results, someone else can use your system to get similar results to you. Now, the challenge here is to find out exactly who these people are so that you can focus your marketing efforts on them. One of the big challenges every business faces is that we've got this, who's your target market? And people say, well, it's everyone. Well, it's not really everyone, but it's everyone. Yes, there's probably everyone could use your system, but are they your target market? Because if you're going to market and try and get your message to everyone in the general population, that's 26 million of us here in Australia, that marketing program is going to cost you an absolute fortune, and you are probably going to get a 1 to 2% take up if you're lucky. The reality is we've got to identify our target market, and we've got to channel in our marketing message and our marketing energy into that particular target market. You may already have that audience that you market to. The market isn't necessarily one that you need, in some cases, may not necessarily be one that you need to look far. You're already working within, say, that digital business for Kath out there who wants to develop, who put together the CRM for a digital marketing system. You're already working within that space, and maybe your target market is going to be really clear. But sometimes the new system that we're looking at is going to actually create a new target market, and your current market that you're marketing to may not necessarily be the right one. So you may need to reach out to a new audience. Now, if your system is well suited to your current market, that's awesome. It's easy to sell. You've got an existing customer base that they already know you, they already trust you, they already like you. And if you've been doing your marketing well, to be able to provide them some added value would be, in terms of, in comparison to looking for a new market, would be much simpler. Now, the key in choosing the market, however, whichever market you go, is to identify those pain points. You're looking at people who are suffering the same problem that your program solves. And once you choose your audience, you may find yourself tailoring your system even more, starting to tweak your system to really meet some of their specific needs. For example, you might have a system for building high engagement blogs that you've used as part of a marketing funnel in your business. Now, you might choose to tailor this to people who are looking to start an online blogging business. So even though you've used the blog to provide targeted content for your customer base for your specific business, you may be able to maneuver that particular system and teach people how to use that system to create a profitable blogging business. So as you start creating the system and researching your market, you might find that some of the people within your target market may be struggling in certain areas as well. So just say your target, your program is that CRM program, that you want to teach people in the digital space how to implement that particular program. And during the course of teaching people, you may find, or you may see, another system starting to generate for yourself as people say, look, I'm really struggling getting this out into social media. I'm really struggling with the message that I'm putting out there in social media. So you can then start to tailor your current system and include some aspects like that. So it becomes a bit of a evolution. One of the things that we don't want to be doing is do a set and forget, create an online system, and then set it, and then just put it on autopilot. We want to continue to improve, enhance, and potentially increase our reach in relation to it. So let's have a quick look. So thinking about what you've talked about so far in relation to what the system is, what the problem is, all that sort of stuff, how would you describe the people who face the same problem as you? So this may be simple for some. It may not be simple. It may be a little bit more complex. But this is part of the action steps that we take from this. Who is my target market? What do they look like? Where do they hang around? And it's really good business sense anyway, But in relation to our signature program, for us to be really clear about how we're going to market, this is a really important aspect. Okay. So we've seen a couple of them coming through. Implementing systems to improve their business process. I haven't met a business person yet that hasn't talked to me about some of the challenges they face in their systems and their process. Currently, people who are struggling to keep employees engaged through COVID. Yeah, absolutely. People having to pivot their business but haven't thought about the cultural impact. And we are seeing that, absolutely seeing that. That engagement during crisis, that leadership during a crisis is really critical if we want to maintain our engagement. You know, and just within my own house, for example, I've got my 2 children that still live with us, and both of them have been impacted by varying degrees. One has had really good communication from the company she works with. The other one, very poor communication. And funnily enough, the one with, well, not funnily enough, the one with the poor communication is the one where the engagement level is nowhere near what it should be. So they've already got a disengaged workforce, and they're just further widening that particular aspect. So in terms of your target market, your key points here, the key is choosing a market is to consider the pain points, the problem that it is that you're wanting to solve. And once you've chosen this audience, you tailor your system to meet their specific needs. And this is an aspect that we really can't take lightly. It is one of those things that, you know, we may think initially that we've got a target market in mind. And then as we actually start to do our research and as we start to think more deeply and reflect upon what it is that we're wanting to, the problems that we're wanting to solve, the reality is that target market might shift. And when we, and it might become a brand new target market, or you might be solving a problem in another market that you didn't even know exists until we do that market research. And then therefore it might be a different industry, it might be a different people. And then we need to be looking at how can I tailor this program to really make the best gains that I can within this new particular market. So would your system benefit your current market, or is it a subset of the market? Who's facing the problem that your system solves? Identifying that target market. And could you change the system in any way to better serve your market? Now, I'm not talking about at this moment taking that problem that you solve, that system that you've got, and starting to tweak it to go and expand into new markets. This is about your initial program, looking at the target market that you're going to sell into. But the potential down the track absolutely is there for you to be able to really deliver into new markets, into new aspects. Step number 4, craft an enticing title. We all know how important a headline is. The title needs to be consistent with your existing or your new brand. One of the major problems we see in marketing is that our marketing is a mismatch of ideas and thoughts, and it doesn't really follow a clear consistency. So where your marketing gets really powerful is when it sits behind the concept of a powerful brand. And people can look at a marketing thing and know that it's from, you know, whether it's McDonald's or whether it's a Coca-Cola ad, it's powerful and it's branded. So that consistency needs to be important. So with our title needs to be important. Naming the program is incredibly important. So the title should be memorable and drive home the benefits the customer will receive. So, and when we think about it, and I know this is going to be really common sense, the title is the first thing that people read, right? Or the first thing that they'll hear. And they'll decide then whether they're going to check out the offer to learn more or not. The title needs to be exciting and motivating, and it should be as specific as possible. Now, I'm not talking about clickbait. I'm not talking about getting people to click on your title and then find out that what they've clicked on is something that they're actually not interested in. It's really got to be that whole concept of, you're looking at the benefits that the system brings. You're looking at those emotional feelings that your system also brings, because it's not just the problem that they face and the emotion around that particular problem. It's about how do you want them to feel once you've done the particular program, and how can I craft this into a title that's memorable, exciting, motivating, and quick and snappy. And one of the key things here is to start to brainstorm several different titles and give each some consideration. Test them with your current market. Ask some questions. Get some people around you that you trust. So often we'll start with a big list if we're doing some brainstorming. There's also some brainstorming software out there online where you can craft enticing headlines. Most of them are algorithm driven. And so, as we know with algorithms, sometimes it's not as real as what it is than just asking people. So you want to be able to brainstorm it. You want to be able to get a list of titles up, and then you want to start to narrow them down. But your title needs to really explain what the program does, enough that it captures people's attention to click and find out more. So if you were wanting to name the program right now, like no brainstorm, nothing, what would you call it? What would you call it? So one of the runners that I follow over in the States is a guy that's called himself the 300-pound runner. And, he's an American. He's obviously quite overweight, but he runs marathons and he runs, long distance events. And one of the key things that he's got in his marketing channel, so obviously that's a really select target market that he's looking for. Those people that he inspires are ones that are in a similar position, that want to get back into doing some particular exercise, etc., etc. So he's got a couple of different programs. He sells a couple of different products, and one of the most memorable things that he sells is a shirt, and slightly different to what we're talking about, but this is how memorable that you're really wanting to think about the title for your particular program. And the shirt is simply got on it, slow as AF. Yeah. So F stands for that word that I'm not going to mention because we're in, but slow as F, right? So, and people love that shirt because what he's doing is giving them permission to get out and get active without necessarily having to look $1 million in Lycra. So it's a really interesting thing. And part of his process now is that he's now been picked up by, when we're in Japan, for example, we actually saw him in an Adidas video ad on the subway. So, this is really incredible. If we can get that message around what it is that we're doing, we are really going to make that work for us. All right, so we didn't have a great take up on that. I've got a couple there. Fat to Fit was one. So, but it's, you think about it, and once again, I'll share a running story. There is programs out there, and some of the best known programs and most popular ones are the ones that are called Couch to 5K, Couch to 10K. So what it's teaching and what it's saying is that we're going to take you from the couch to running a 5K. That's a memorable headline. And if that's something that you're really wanting to look at, you really want to drive that sort of messaging within your system. As I said, that was one that was just short notice. And if you were to name it now, what would you call it? Okay. So the titles obviously should motivate people and tell them what the benefits they are. We talked about the brainstorming aspect. We really need to brainstorm some of that, and we just need to make that work. So your next steps, create a list of titles that explain the benefits of your course. Narrow down your list until you've got the best title. Create titles for your steps that you can use for marketing. Okay. So the final thing is about packaging and selling your system. Now, the system is what you use to get the success. The program is the container so others can get the same results. So what is the format that you're going to be looking at? Your first system should be in that medium value range of pricing. So, and it should be something that you use as a bit of a foundation. So many people make the mistake of starting out either too expensive or too light. The key is to put it in that value process and start to pick up some answers. Okay, just popping back to see one of the answers that just popped up for naming a program. So, and I think it was, I don't know. So, and that's okay, because it is, we're not necessarily following the steps. So when we're thinking about our program, we want to think about formats for the program and what this is going to look like. So you can see some of the formats that are up on the screen. We've got ebooks, physical books, online courses, email courses, video series, webinars, group coaching programs, and we've also got in-person workshops. And they all have some absolute relevance in determination around your actual target market, what's going to be the best way for you. And they've all got, YouTube channels are another methodology that people can utilize to having your particular business. And Cindy's lost sound. Yeah. Okay. So in terms of that, I've just got some one of the things that I'm finding with online platforms at the moment is because of all the additional traffic that's being generated, some of them are performing better than others. I've had a couple of hiccups today from a technical side, and hopefully you still had a user experience that's been able to work for yourself. So in terms of delivery formats, just working through this, you can use an ebook as a bit of a lead magnet, or you can sell it via Amazon. Physical books are another thing that you can either give away, as people often will call our physical books now the new business card. So it's about using it as a physical book. Online courses are very much a way to generate an income stream. You may have a teaser course that you provide as a bit of a lead magnet, and then that sells into another course. So it sounds back on, which is awesome. Thank you for letting me know. You could be doing email courses, sending out 30 days of inspiration, 30-day mindset growth, whatever that may look like. You can do that via an email course. People might, that can either be a lead magnet process, or it can be something that people pay for. I know a lot of people actually utilize and pay for the programs John Maxwell provides, and part of that process is about providing a daily email in and around an extended topic. So there's video series, there's webinars like today, there's group coaching programs, there's in person. And once again, this is about understanding what our target market's going to want. So it's about studying our target market and about determining the best format for them to digest the information, whether it's going to be text, video, or webinar, and the best delivery system. Now, this is when we actually go through and break this down. So this course leads into the 12-step process to actually working through and developing your own online program or your own signature program, whatever that may look like for you. And when we start to look at the formatting process, we start to branch out a little bit and we start to look at what are the formats. So you may create an online program which you can provide as a online program itself, or you can provide it as an online program you coach people through. So you can create differing levels in and around what the format is. Your format may start as an ebook. It may start as a physical book that you sell through Amazon. And then from that book, you break it down and you create it into a systemized process that you then work with people to gain that particular level of success. Once again, it's going to depend who your target market is and what is the best way that they take to get that information, digest it, and the best delivery system for you. You've also got to be looking at things like how long is it going to be, what's the materials that you offer for them, what are the checklists, resources, workbooks, and as I said, at the end of this, you'll get an email with the 3 handouts that I've prepared for this particular workshop today. So this is all part about what it is that you're going to do with the formatting. So it's not just an online program. It's not just an ebook. It might be an ebook with an online program with a supporting checklist for people to work through. It could be quizzes on an online program. It could be all manner of things. It could be about creating a membership program based around that, which you're then supporting through daily videos or live videos, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a number of different things that we start to think about when we start working through what is the format that I'm going to use, because this is all about packaging and selling your system. Because if your target market out there is one that consumes video content and your program doesn't have video content, we're going to have a disconnect between you and your target market. So what format are you thinking of? What does this particular look like? Study your target market, determine the best format for them to digest the information, the best delivery system, and then you start to think about what are some of those supporting materials that you can provide that helps them navigate their way through. And then once we've done that, we then start looking at our marketing channels. So where does our target market hang out online and what content do they like? So if your target market is sitting there firmly in the LinkedIn space, you know, whether they're career professionals or what have you, and they're sitting there in that LinkedIn space, what content are they consuming? What groups are they attending? So how do I gain that concept of know, like, and trust in a social media platform? So our final... no, it's not our final, sorry. So what format were you thinking of to deliver your particular program? So, and okay, so we've got a couple coming through. Ebooks, physical books, just picked up a vote. Well done. Online courses seem to be the most popular. We've just had a couple people say webinars, group coaching's picking up some votes. Okay. So I guess part of the process is just to start thinking about how am I going to deliver this. So even if you're delivering an online course, can I then attach that to a more personalized product where people are booked in to do the course, of course, but then you're offering some private mentoring as part of that as in-person workshops. So this is where we start to think, how can I then expand? Yes, I want to focus in on getting that online course up and running, but ultimately, what are the additional revenue streams that could potentially come from that? So the next steps here, what format and delivery system will you use to offer this signature program? What marketing channels are you going to use? Remember, when we're marketing, we're going to be emphasizing the benefits of what the program brings for people and what that potentially will look like. So so that's the 5 key steps that we wanted to walk through today. Identify, design your system, define what is unique around your particular system, the system's uniqueness, identify our target markets, craft that enticing headline, that enticing title, and then we look to package and sell the product. Now, if you do want to know more, we do have a create your own signature system inside the Coach Call Academy. It's a 12-stage system that allows you to build your own online signature course. And it walks through each and every one of those steps. So I've shared 5 of those steps, 5 steps today, but to actually successfully go out there and really drive something brand new for yourself, I would really encourage you to have a look at this particular course. Now, there's 2 ways that you can do it. You can do it online through the Coach Call Academy as either a silver business member or as a gold member. Both of those membership levels give you access to that particular course. Or you can join us over the next 4 weeks as we personally work through each of those 12 steps. And I'm doing that because we're still looking at least 4 weeks in before things start to return back to normal. And is that a really good opportunity for you to work with someone as you design, build, and create your own system over a 4-week period? I'll leave that in your ever capable hands. But I'm really looking forward. I'm really excited to be able to work through each and every one of those 12 steps as you build your online program. And part of the email that you should receive on completion of this particular course today should have the link for you to be able to register for that particular course. And once we've got, I'd love to start next week, as early as next week, so that we've got that 1 session every week over the next 4 weeks. And in that time, you will be actively working through your program and, making mistakes along the way, as we all do, but really helping define that. And one of the aspects around this particular platform I'm using is that it does allow voice from all participants. So over the course of that 4 weeks, you can actually gain some pretty good insight, not just from me, but from everyone else within the group. One final poll: what's stopping you now? So I want you to think about that from a personal reflective space. And I really, time is always one of those big things, isn't it? Tony, the other Tony that's on here, has just said nothing. So yeah, I know nothing. We keep saying that to ourselves, don't we? Nothing's really stopping us. But often we'll throw up our own obstacles. And time is one of the biggest things, especially where we've got people that are homeschooling kids and everything at the moment. But I really want to get you to think about what is it that I can be doing to make this a reality. I want to thank you all for popping in today. I hope you've taken some really key steps. As I said, you will get an email with the handouts that will be attached, as well as some additional information around the actual up-and-coming 4-week course. I'd like to say you'll also get just a bit of a feedback thing for myself in relation to how you found it today. So thank you very much for attending. I hope you all have a fantastic day. And if I can be of any help, just feel free to yell out. Talk soon. Bye.